to the Daisy Cousens show. Well, the drama surrounding Prince Harry's US visa woes continues to ebb and flow, and here to talk us through all the latest of that drama of the prodigal prince himself is royal commentator and host of the To Die For podcast, Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, it is so fantastic to have you here. Now, I'm so keen to get stuck into this discussion. Prince Harry is now a US resident. Well, you know, I'm not sure how you feel about that, but the Heritage Foundation has launched a legal battle with the US Department of Homeland Security to release Harry's visa application over concerns of, special treatment. A lot of Americans are a bit upset about all of this, aren't they?
They are, because it certainly feels like special privilege. Why is the Biden administration fighting so hard to keep this guy's paperwork secret? There's just no justification for it. I mean, if he was open and honest on his application, why not just show us? Why not just comment on it and say, why would I lie about something? So I do think that here's the thing. If Prince Harry was coming over here and living a quiet life in Montecito, California, going to the farmer's market every weekend with his hat on and oversized sunglasses and trying to stay above the fray, I don't think anybody would have an issue with it. But he's working with the Aspen Institute to try to change the way that Americans communicate on social media. He goes on podcasts and talks about how our First Amendment is bonkers. So if you're going to come over to the United States and try to change the way we function, if you're going to have an influence over potential new laws, then we want to make sure that you are here in good standing. So I do understand the Heritage Foundation's argument that Americans should know that he's here legally, that he didn't lie on any paperwork, that he wasn't given any special privileges. Because like me, my grandfather came here from Canada legally. He went through the whole process. He fought to be here. I think we all just want to make sure that he came here the way that any normal person would.
Well, exactly, which is completely fair enough. And just to clarify, the accusations of special treatment come from the fact that visa applicants to the US must answer the question, have you ever violated or engaged in a conspiracy to violate any law relating to controlled substances? So in other words, have you ever taken drugs? Spare, Harry's memoir, tells us that Harry did, in fact, do that. So either Harry lied, as you mentioned, or the Department of Homeland Security turned a blind eye. So why would they turn a blind eye to him?
Now this is where it gets tricky, because did that happen under the Trump administration? President Trump, who's now saying, I'm gonna give you the boot if I find out that you lied to enter the country. So that's where I'm pretty confused, but you're absolutely right. Breaks down in Spare how Courtney Cox's trash can started to talk to him after doing some drugs he stumbled upon in her refrigerator. I mean, then he did that in one sit-down interview with the psychologist, the pay to play, the pay to watch, where you had to almost purchase a second book to watch this interview with him, where he talked about, doing all sorts of illegal substances. It's not just cocaine. It's some of this weird stuff that makes you like purge. And, and he talks about how it's spiritual and it's therapeutic for him. And I think a lot of people, too, listen to that stuff and say, wow, you're supposed to be kind of a mentor to people. You're supposed to be, as a royal and as somebody that considers themselves a public figure better than the rest of us, constantly talking down to us. We would expect more from somebody. Do whatever you want in private, but you don't have to endorse it.
Yeah, and that's what irritates me as well. His conversation about drugs is, they're therapeutic, they help me, it's fine, it's all very holistic. Meanwhile, America has a terrible drug problem. They've got the opioid epidemic, the fentanyl epidemic, you've got cartels bringing it across the border. Is this just further evidence of how clueless Prince Harry is about the real world, that he'd say that about recreational drug use?
No self-awareness whatsoever. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, and it's so sad. I'll be scrolling through Instagram and see another friend post, RIP to their little brother. And you
Oh.
realize, oh my God, I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy the amount of people that are dying from fentanyl overdoses. They don't realize how dangerous street drugs are. They don't realize that you should not take anything from a stranger at a party. I mean, it's just not safe anymore in the States. Since we've been talking, probably 5,000 illegals have crossed the border in Arizona with this kind of, stuff on them. And it is just really one of America's biggest issues. I'm surprised we don't hear either presidential candidate talking about it more throughout this campaign, because it's frightening.
Exactly. And there's Prince Harry on his high horse getting all holistic about recreational drugs. I mean, what a terrible, terrible role model. And look, speaking of terrible, terrible role models, Kinsey, we have to talk about his hapless wife, Meghan Markle. She's gone and launched a sort of lifestyle thingy recently. I believe there's jam involved. So can you tell us, what do we know about Meghan Markle's American Riviera orchard? Very fancy name.
Gosh. Well, first of all, I think it's really interesting that we have been informed that her podcast that she is launching with Limonada Media has been postponed until 2025 because they don't want. They said that they don't want to have to compete with the launch of a Netflix show or or the American Riviera Orchard launch. First of all, my first instinct is, why would you not go hand in hand with the American Riviera Orchard launch and, use that all to, that could go hand in hand and you could be promoting both back and forth. So to say you're going to postpone your podcast for a website that has no products on it yet, American Riviera Orchard, and for a TV show that has no launch date yet, do these people just sit around and announce things that, I mean, it's almost like a diversion tactic. Actually, I believe it was, I want to credit him, but it was Richard Kay, one of Princess Diana's friends, that said it's almost like they're constantly releasing things to distract from the fact that they're actually not executing anything. I would go as far as saying they're constantly releasing things to distract from the negative publicity, us reminding the world they refused to see the Queen before she died. The Nazi costume in the middle of the worst anti-Jewish threat we've seen in my lifetime. I think that they try to release these things that sometimes never come to fruition just to distract from the fact that they really aren't doing anything. What's on American Riviera Orchard right now? Absolutely nothing. You can't buy anything, but she's pushing it through Kris Jenner, Chrissy Teigen, and all these people. For what? I couldn't tell you. I don't, other than to steal headlines for attention, for ego. I cannot tell you why. What's the return on investment when you and I can't go buy a pair of socks that say RO?
I know, it's fairly extraordinary, isn't it? And honestly, when you think of Meghan Markle, when she joined the royal family, I think Tom Bower said she thought it would be like Hollywood. Fast forward to 2024, nobody likes her. She gets really mostly negative press. There's only one biographer who will say anything good about her, and that's Omid Scobie, who is a shill, and she has an empty website and a delayed podcast. I mean, I can't imagine she expected that this is how things would go. Did she?
No, absolutely not. And since the announcement that she's going to have this new gardening cooking show, some of her old clips from American news have started recirculating. So she would do these little hits on American news sites to try to generate attention for the TIG, and she is so vanilla. She is so bland. I'm being critical and I'm being mean, but I'm going to embrace it. I see why her career was where it was.
Yeah.
She was elevated beyond all comprehension when she met Prince Harry. So I can't actually wait to see this Netflix show, because I'm telling you, if it's anything like these things where she's trying to make a toast look fabulous and you're dying inside while you're watching this because it's so cringe, I mean, God bless her.
I know, God bless her indeed, and I agree with everything you have just said. She has just been elevated beyond recognition, as you say, and it has only done her harm in the long run. Kinsey Schofield, you are fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on, and I hope we can see you again soon.
Thank you.